Many people have already gone back and reacted to their first 2025 NFL mock draft. Now I'm here to do that today, except for my first 2025 mock draft was a 2-rounder. So buckle in, strap up. Special thanks to our friends over at Underdog Fantasy. More on them a little bit later, but let's get into this sucker. Full disclosure, this is my first mock draft after I did my summer deep dive. So I had thoughts on these players. I've watched these players. And I think the interesting thing here will be the draft order, right? Let's see how well Vegas got it right. How well the betting odds were. As we can see, Carolina, the Patriots, Titans, Giants, all those teams did end up picking in the top 8 at the very least. But then there's teams like Denver at 3 who ended up having a very solid year under Sean Payton and Bo Nix. You have Washington, who had an extraordinary year, made it to the NFC Championship game. So, yeah, it's going to be kind of wild. It's going to be kind of wild. And I'm actually beginning my deep dive into the 2026 NFL Draft this week in terms of watching tape. I was already going through doing a ton of the backgrounds on some of the players on my watch list. So, yeah, I'm excited to get into 2026. But let's get into this 2025. Let's go ahead.
Pick one, Carolina Panthers, and you almost gotta feel like they're going with the defensive prospect. And I mean, given this quarterback class, spoiler alert, I'm probably not gonna have a quarterback go fairly high.
Told you I didn't like this quarterback class.
So I'm gonna focus on the defense. I'm actually gonna go with my top prospect in this class being Will Johnson, corner.
Oh, Will Johnson, no. Will Johnson. So he ended up having a fall because apparently a chronic knee issue popped up where he got flagged for the knee. He goes in the second round, but there was no denying the talent was first round caliber. But going first overall, obviously not a great look, but it is what it is. Who thought he was going to have the banged up year that he did? Let's jump ahead a little bit. I want to take a look at some of the other picks that I may have had here. I had Nick Gordon at 2, another second rounder. Hey, Panthers moved up to go get him, but right off the bat, dude, I got 2 guys that went in the second round. Golly, gotta stinking love this. Denver, what did I do here?
That injury concern when it comes to their cap space, so I could see, I think it's at the end of this season. They do have Troy Franklin, cool, but they need legit weapons. I'm gonna go with my top wide receiver, Luther Burden. I actually think
Luther Burden, another second round pick. Oh no! I start this sucker off with my first 3 picks are all second rounders. Golly, I gotta jump ahead, man. I gotta jump ahead. Let's see. Oh, thank goodness I had Travis Hunter going to the Washington Commanders. Okay, so the first one I really got right. I have him going at pick 4. He ends up going at pick 2. The Jaguars move up to go get him. Oh, jeez. Golly. Tennessee Titans. What do I have going here?
And, you're going to see me. I've been wanting to pull the Mason Graham, just push the Mason Graham button the last couple of picks, and I'm actually going to not do it here either. I'm going to keep focusing on just building up the offensive line, and you're going to do that at tackle where they have a right tackle, Dylan Radins, who is okay at best. They also have Nicholas Petit-Frere. I'm kind of completely out on him at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and take Will Campbell. Fun fact.
Hey, there we go, man.
Will Campbell did play right tackle all 4 years in.
Okay, so Will Campbell, I have him going at pick 5. He goes at pick 4 to the Patriots. There we go. I got actual players that went in the top 5. Back-to-back picks after having a rough start. Golly. Okay, what do we got going for the Giants? I'm curious, when do I have quarterback going off the board?
High of right tackle, and I can't pass up the value anymore. Mason Graham next to stinking Dexter Lawrence is just
okay. I'm gonna end up going with Mason Graham here. There we go. Okay, 3 strong picks after 3 rough ones. Now we have the Las Vegas Raiders This could be a quarterback spot that I had here. Again, I'm reacting. I don't recall what I did for this. I didn't watch it beforehand.
Already, that defensive line is pretty scary, and now it's just these quarterbacks as top 10 value, so I'm going to pass on quarterback here. And I'm actually going to go with my next wide receiver, Tetero McMillan.
There we go. Tet going at pick 7. He ends up going at pick 8. Okay. Feeling so much better after those first 3 picks. Okay. I'm waiting for that one pick that I make in the first round that ended up, well, if they went back to school, it is what it is. But, like, that's a mid to late day 3 guy. Waiting for that sucker.
At Arizona, you get just this draft at wide receiver. Sure hands. Don't know what will happen with Devontae Adams.
Traded. That's what happened to him. All right, so we got the Arizona Cardinals. They end up going what? Walter Nolan, who I liked a lot, but I think coming into the year, I liked him as a top 50 player. Then he surged up to being like the 12th player on my board. Then Will Johnson, of course, in the second round. James Pierce Jr. Okay, so he was a part of the big move up for the Atlanta Falcons. Another guy that went in the first round. Feeling okay. I'm feeling good. Look at this. Minnesota Vikings picking here at 9. They end up picking late in the first round. What, at pick 24? Another team that had a good year. Draft guide promo. Benjamin Morrison. All right. So another second rounder going here for me. Benjamin Morrison, someone who fell again because of the injuries. So, I mean, you look at, okay, Will Johnson falls because of the knee injury. Benjamin Morrison, he falls because of the hip injury. Then I had Nick Scordon. I had who was that other top pick that I had? That was Luther Burden. That's right. Luther Burden falls because of the inconsistent year. Is what it is.
So you're going to need someone next to Fuanga, whether it's Banks at left tackle, Fuanga kicking back at right tackle, which where he played at Oregon State, or you just move Banks to right tackle and call it a day. And even better, Banks, I think if even if Ramchak still ends up sticking around for a couple more years, like Banks or Fuanga, they could kick into guard and you'd be A-okay. You'd be really happy with that. So we're just going to keep building.
Okay, so out of the top 10 picks that I made last year, again, using the draft order that was available to me. Again, I started out rough. Drafted 3 second rounders to start the draft. Then got in some top 10 picks there. And then I nailed Kevin Banks to the Saints at 10. Ended up going at 9, but wow, let's go. But hey, before we get into pick 11, Seattle Seahawks on the board, see where I go there. Hopefully, maybe I go with some offensive line help because I feel like it was apparent even last year. But I do got to give a shout out to our friends over at Underdog of Fantasy. Thank you for sponsoring today's video. If you sign up using the promo code Broshmo, then they will match that first deposit up to $1,000 dues. They currently have the extender, or you could play their ladders game, which is pretty cool. Essentially, we're in playoff season when it comes to the NBA. If you think you know who's going to come out and have some legendary performances, then be like, hey, these guys are going to hit big. And the bigger they hit, the bigger you win. If you hit on 3 to 5 players, you have a chance to get a profits boost up to 100 times what you put in. So hella fun, hella good. They got all kinds of fun games going on at Underdog of Fantasy. It could be weekly best ball. It could be higher, lower on player stats. But if you do download the app, remember, sign up with the promo code Broshmo. But as always, play responsibly, play within your means. Seattle Seahawks are currently on the board. And I go Malachi Starks. Okay, Starks ends up going to the back end of the first round. Safeties, they just fall, man. They just fall. It is what it is. Who do the Colts go with? Looks like I'm going corner. Oh, Takario Davis, the lone freak, who ends up not just returning to school, but transferring, reuniting with Jed Fish at Washington. So first player to return has come off the board here at 12.
Or freaky breakups last. Buccaneers, and I'm going to do something a little bit interesting because I'm
going to do something a little bit interesting here at pick 13.
I have this player further down my board. A lot of people, a lot of the consensus have him as a top 10, top 15 player. For me, I just kind of want.
Oh, I think it's Abdul Carter. So if you didn't know, let me give you a little background. Going into the year, Abdul Carter was a player who I was hesitant on because he was making the transition from linebacker to a full-time edge player, and he had a lot of missed tackles playing off-ball linebacker. There were times where he'd get locked up, and it's like, I know he's got the play strength to break free, but you didn't see it quite as consistently when plays got to the second level or moved to the sideline. So I was hesitant. I kind of wanted to see it before I believed it. And to be fair, he started the first couple of games. Was like, okay, is he this top 10 pick that people think he is? I mean, he's a really good athlete. And then he turned it on and was just a monster and ended up going third overall. So I think I end up picking Abdul Carter here.
Want to wait and see because he's playing his first year fully as an edge rusher, and that's Abdul Carter. And I get it. Like, I get why people love him. Like, athletically, he is built to play out there on the edge. I'm kind of curious about the run defense, and I'm kind of curious about him to actually putting his hand in the dirt and playing a traditional edge rusher role.
I mean, to be fair, run defense still a work in progress for him, but pass rush is keen. Pittsburgh Steelers, this is where I go quarterback. Okay, this is where I go quarterback. I go Carson Beck. He ends up returning to school after having a very so-so year. To be fair, he didn't have a lot of help at Georgia. A lot of drops by his pass catchers, but he also had a lot of turnover-worthy plays, a lot of errant decision-making. Now he's playing for the Hurricanes, my Hurricanes, baby. But I guarantee you he's not going to be a first-round pick when I go back and grind the tape a little bit. And I'm more interested in seeing Carson Beck at the end of the year prior to his injury and where I feel about him. He's probably, I don't know if he's going to make it into my top 100 when it's all said and done. We got the Los Angeles Chargers. And I got the Chargers taking Kenneth Grant. Okay, Kenneth Grant. He ends up going in the top 15 to my Miami Dolphins at 13. And I have him going at 15 here. Okay. Jacksonville, the team that ended up picking 5th overall, but moved up, traded up to get Travis Hunter. See what I got cooking for the Jags. Looks like I go offensive line. Emory Jones. Oh, man, that's right. Emory Jones had a rough year. Ends up going to the 3rd round, which was higher than where I had him on my final big board. Someone that I think he could probably play guard out the gates. Plays with some blinders on. Out there at tackle, out there in space. So if you were picking him up, I'd probably feel better him in more of a gap-heavy scheme. But he goes to the Ravens, which is why I think he's probably going to end up playing vying for that left guard spot. But I do remember Emory Jones was kind of a top 3 tackle consensus. And just didn't have that next step and actually kind of at least regressed in terms of production in his final year there. All right, let's cut to the chase here. Let's go to the Cleveland Browns. Oh, this is where I take Deon Walker. Walker, he ends up going in the 4th round. So this is the first non-day 1 or day 2 player I have going high in my mock draft. Deon Walker is, and I could probably already guess what I'm about to say. That, hey, Jim Schwartz, he wants fast cars on the defensive line. You don't want them dump trucks. And I know that Walker's built like a dump truck, but the run defense ain't like that. He's not a dude that anchors. But if you want to get him moving around, he's a very nimble mover at that size. But ends up falling to the 4th. The Bills actually move up. Kind of funny, right? The Bills, they moved back up in the 4th to get him with a pick that they traded on day 2 to the Bears. They have to call the Bears back up, be like, we're going to need that pick back. So kind of funny. Los Angeles Rams, I go with Savone Revel Jr., corner out of East Carolina. Tears his ACL early in the season. Ends up going to the 3rd round. But there was going to be a lot of discussion about him as a potential first rounder. And a lot of people kind of held on that stance that if he didn't get hurt, he was allowed an offseason draft process, that he would be in that first round mix. So I don't mind that. I don't mind missing on that. What about the Jets? Who do I have the Jets going? Shedeur Sanders, so quarterback of the future. They would sign Justin Fields, and Shedeur would have an epic fall to the 5th round. That had a lot of different people feeling a lot of different ways. I still argued, yeah, I think he's a day 2 player. To me, he was still, just because the quarterback value was relatively high on my big board. Not like top 10 or anything, but he was in that top 20 for me just because of the value of quarterback. But I thought at the very least, okay, yeah, take a swing on this guy in the 2nd. What are we doing here? And he falls to the 5th. And you either love Shedeur or you hate Shedeur. That's just kind of how people were with him. But yeah, okay, 5th rounder. That's the furthest, I think, the furthest drafted guy I have so far going in my previous mock draft. Chicago Bears. Okay, 3rd rounder, Princely Umami Ellen, edge out of Mississippi. I liked him. He was still a top 50 prospect for me by the end of the process. Chicago, they end up going defensive line relatively late. They go get, actually, who was it? Shamar Turner. There we go. At pick 62, I believe. I don't know if they hit edge. I can't recall off the top of my head. I suppose I could look it up, but Princely ends up going in the 3rd round to the Carolina Panthers, part of that double dip for the Panthers at edge. Let's see. Chicago Bears. That's how I want to look at real quick. Yeah, the Bears end up not even going edge at all. So it is what it is. And I mean, they invested at edge, so it is what it is. Atlanta Falcons. I feel like this is probably Mikael Williams. I go with Patrick Payton. Yeah, he still is a very toolsy player. He transferred to LSU this past season. The production just hasn't been quite there for him. If you go back to my September stock watch, if you don't know, I do like the stock report, basically keeping tabs on players that are moving up, moving down when it comes to their draft stock. And Payton was a consistent faller just because the production wasn't matching the potential with him. But then again, we did see in this draft where, well, if you got the tools, potential could carry you a long way. Mikael Williams, Shamar Stewart, and such. My Miami Dolphins. I gotta imagine I had the Dolphins taking an offensive lineman, right? Because I've been they go Tyler Booker. I thought Tyler Booker at least was going to test out a little bit better, but I mean, he is not as bad as a mover as he tested out to be. But also, you watch him this past season, it's like, yeah, you're probably better in a more gap heavy scheme. Dolphins, I've been very adamant about my Dolphins getting an offensive lineman. They ended up going with Jonah Savanea out of Arizona in the 2nd round, moved up with the Raiders, gave away their 3rd and 4th because the Dolphins don't care about their draft picks, is what it is. Green Bay Packers, they end up picking 23, actually. I'm pretty confident. I think they ended up picking 23, so kind of on the dot there. They take Matthew Golden. I didn't watch Golden until like halfway through the season, so I know he ain't going to be the pick here. It's Mansour Delane, corner out of Virginia Tech. Another guy who returned to school, but transferred to LSU. Did Green Bay, I don't think, touched corner in any meaningful way. Yeah, they didn't take a corner until the back end of the 7th round in Micah Robinson out of Tulane. So yeah, they didn't even go corner highly in the draft. So it is what it is. Pick 24 ends up being Jonah Savaneo, who ends up going in the 2nd round. Dolphins move up to go get him at pick 37. So, okay, I'm not too offended. I'm waiting. Oh, dude. I guess Shadur at this point is the guy that went the furthest, and being a 5th round pick and whatnot. But let's see if I nailed any other first rounders here. I imagine I have Mikael Williams going pretty soon. Who do I have the Eagles taking? Oh, Harold Perkins, who does return to school. A lot of LSU players that either transferred to LSU this past year after deciding to return to school. Mansour Delane, Patrick Payton, and now Harold Perkins, who was at LSU, got hurt. So watch out. Maybe LSU is going to have a fun squad on defense this upcoming year. Dallas Cowboys, this is Ashton Genty, because I liked Genty. But I go Isaiah Bond? Where's Genty, dude? I loved Ashton Genty. I had him as a top 20 prospect, but sometimes you can't get out of your own way, man. I was still pretty heavy on, man, I don't like running backs in the top half of the draft. And I mean, these teams selected in the top half of the draft, typically your offensive line's not in the shape to facilitate a rookie running back. But Isaiah Bond, there we go. First player that goes undrafted. Probably would have been drafted whether he been a 3rd or a 4th round draft pick, if not for obviously the sexual assault allegation that rose up near the time of the draft. So kind of an asterisk with that one there. Dallas do get a wide receiver to complement CD Lamb, though. They trade for George Pickens just a few weeks ago. We gotta jump back. Okay, so Mikael Williams ends up going to the Buffalo Bills. He ends up going at pick 11 in the actual draft. And then I have Colston Loveland going at pick 28 to the Cincinnati Bengals. He goes at pick 10 to the Chicago Bears, but he ends up being the first tight end off the board. I imagine I have Tyler Warren coming off the board relatively soon because I actually really liked Tyler Warren coming into this draft. Detroit Lions. Who do I have? I can't believe I don't have Genty going in the first. Alec Manor, wide receiver at Stanford. He ends up going in the 4th round to Tennessee. I think part of that was he got flagged for, if you didn't know, he kind of blew out his knee his senior year of high school. And then his freshman year at Stanford, he ended up, I think, tearing his ACL, MCL, meniscus. So pretty significant knee injury that forced him to redshirt that year. But he has been healthy the last 2 seasons. But it sounded like he got bumped down the board because of that, because I firmly had him as a top 75 player in this class. Baltimore Ravens. I go with Ariante Ursary. He ends up going in the 2nd round. Tackle out of Minnesota. He ended up going to the Houston Texans, right? Yeah, guys, Texans had a good draft. He ends up going at pick 48, so still goes in the top 50. So I don't feel bad about that one at all. Let's move on to the San Francisco 49ers. Picking at 31. Ended up not being that year for him. Ended up not being very good. Danny. Just thinking fruit fly. Danny Dennis Sutton. Edge out of Penn State. He ends up returning to school. He's got a lot of good tools. I'm going to just tell you right now, I'm going to probably project him as a first rounder coming into the year. Probably am, because he's got very intriguing tools. And then with this final pick, Kansas City Chiefs, I have them select to Tyleik Williams, defensive tackle out of Ohio State. He actually ends up going at pick, was it 29 to the Detroit Lions? Pick 28. So not too far off. So Ashton Genty's still on the board there. Wow, man, look at me. Old habits die hard, I suppose. Old habits die hard. I know I really liked Ashton Genty, but having running back fall here. Kevin Winston Jr. ends up being the first pick in the second round of the Chicago Bears. I liked him. He ended up being safety 3 for me. If you don't recall, he partially tore his ACL and missed basically the whole season. He only played in I think it was the Bowling Green game. No, I think he ended up pulling out of the Bowling Green game. Was it Kent State? I can't remember. No, I can't remember who Penn State's opener was against, but yeah, very unfortunate. He ends up going to the third round, though. We got Denzel Burke going here at pick 34 to the New England Patriots. He ends up having a pretty sizable fall. Goes to the Arizona Cardinals at pick 174. And things started feeling a little sketch when we saw the Oregon game. It was like, golly, I know he's pretty much a press guy. They played a lot of off coverage with him, and he got blown up. So I'm kind of curious if I missed a pick here, because I thought I liked Ashton Genty quite a bit. Nope, I end up taking Ashton Genty to the Denver Broncos. Ashton Genty ends up going 6 overall. Genty was my top running back. I had a top 20 grade on him. Actually, I want to hear myself talk about Ashton Genty. Ashton Genty, there's generational running backs in this class. You have to be generational. I really like this running back. Good fit for the defense. All right, let's Denver Broncos. This is where we see our first running back off of the board. Listen, I really like this running back class, but man, for me, a running back in the first round is typically a hard sell. Like, you truly have to be generational. And I don't think there's generational running backs in this class, but I think there's very, very good ones. And dude, Ashton Genty ends up having a hell of a season. I'm going to go with my top running back, Ashton Genty, out of Boise State. He will literally be like, Sean Payton will be like, oh my gosh, Alvin Kamara, is that you? That's funny, because that ended up being my final comp for Genty. Is that you? Come on. Like, this guy's so good as a pass catcher. And didn't really even catch a lot of balls in 2024. Kind of wild. So we did see JT Tuimoloau ends up going to the Washington Commanders. He ends up being a top 50 pick because he ends up going to the Colts in round 2 at pick 45. So not too far off with that. That line guy flies around the field. Danny Stutzman. New York Giants. Danny Stutzman going to the Tennessee Titans at pick 34. He had a bit of a fall, bit of a stumble. Did he go to the Rams? No. They got Chris Paul. Where did Stutzman end up going? I can't remember off the top of my head. I mean, I suppose I can just Google it. Did he go to the AFC? Okay, I'm just gonna Google the sucker. I can't find it. All right. Danny Stutzman. Oh, he ends up going to the New Orleans Saints. Okay, okay. And it was at pick 112. So I did have Stutzman in my top 70. I had him as linebacker, I believe 3 in this class. Yeah, because I had Schwessinger and then I had Campbell. So, yeah, Stutzman, a little bit of a fall there. New York Giants. I go with Jalen Milroe. He ends up going to the back end of the 3rd round. Very much a up and down year for Milroe and Alabama in general. But Giants end up getting a quarterback, right? But Milroe, man, I guess at least he's a 3rd round pick. Oh gosh, I'm gonna take Quinn Ewers. Oh, Quinn Ewers, 7th round pick. So I didn't take anyone undraftable yet, but Quinn Ewers. The inconsistency, being made of glass, did Ewers no favors. No favors, unfortunately. I have him going to the Raiders here. Let's see what we got with the Cardinals. Emeka Buka. So Emeka Buka ends up going at pick, I think it was 19 to the Bucks. Yeah, 19 to the Bucks. But I think I had him in this range, top 40. But it was cool to see him go a little bit much higher than that. But yeah, coolsies. Houston Texans. More offensive line help, maybe? Oh, I go, okay, this is my Walter Nolan landing spot. Yeah, Walter Nolan, he ends up going at pick 16 to the Cardinals. I love that. Love that for the Cardinals. I came in over after the summer, was like, listen, he has more potential than production right now, and then the production came. Is he a clean prospect? Is he a perfect prospect? No, but probably one of the highest ceilings among this defensive tackle class. New Orleans Saints, I got them going Jack Sawyer. Sawyer kind of having an abysmal offseason draft process. Combine came in with sub 32-inch arms. I think his pro day ended up having those over 32-inch arms, but still sub 33 inches. We knew he isn't like a high, like he's an okay athlete, but no one trait to really hang his hat on outside of just pure motor. He ends up going in the 3rd round, I believe, to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Excuse me, the 4th round at pick 123. Seattle Seahawks. They go with Jaden Roberts, offensive lineman. He's playing guard at Alabama, and he actually returned to Alabama, so is what it is. Indianapolis Colts. I got him going Oscar Delp, another guy that ended up returning. Delp didn't really come alive until the end of the year for Georgia. And there was like 3 different tight ends that were kind of all like just middle of the road. And if you combine all their production together, yeah, you feel good about it, but it wasn't great. Lucky Lawson and Benjamin Urasek, who I believe went undrafted. But Delp, he is back at Georgia there. Quinshawn Judkins. Hey, I said Tampa Bay. I had him going with an Ohio State player. It ended up being a running back. And obviously, this is before the emergence of Bucky Irvin, because Bucky Irvin ended up popping off. So Judkins, I have him going in the 2nd. He goes to the 2nd. So cool. Pittsburgh. Who do I have Pittsburgh taking? Wide receiver, Torrey Horton. So Torrey Horton, if you didn't know, he went down with, was it a foot injury? I think it was a foot injury. I can't remember off the top of my head, but early in the year, he ends up missing time. He was largely viewed as a day 2 player coming into the year, as well as if he had declared for the 2024 NFL draft. Ends up going, I think, early in the 4th to the Seattle Seahawks. Oh no, ends up going in the 5th at pick 166. I mean, I still had a top, not a top 100 grade on him. He was 114 on my big board, but I gave the Seahawks like an A+ for that pick. All right, Ollie Gordon going to the Chargers. Ollie Gordon had just a stupendous fall from grace. Ends up going, I believe, in the 6th round to my Miami Dolphins. He just added the weight and didn't look like the same type of athlete or player. Not nearly as light on his feet. That long field speed wasn't necessarily there. Let's not pretend like the blocking was perfect for him, but also he entered the year with that DUI, that stinking, I can't even recall. I don't even have the name of the Oklahoma State coach off the top of my head. I don't know why I'm blanking on it. All I can think of is Stillwater, but he was like, yeah, we're going to punish Ollie Gordon by giving him the ball more. Now it's bugging me, dude. I can't think of who the Oklahoma State head coach is. Mike Gundy. There we go. Pretty scary offense. Oh. Okay, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars. Looks like I'm going corner. I go with Jahdae Barron. Hey, let's go. Barron ends up going at pick 20 to the Denver Broncos. I'm curious to hear what I have to say about
this year. That's kind of the big question mark. This range, you get them in the 3rd round too. Like, there's some guys that got the way out wires. And let me tell you, the corner position didn't shake out the way I was hoping for round 2. Like, there's some guys I like, but I'd rather take shots on them in the 3rd round. Instead, I'm going to just take a player that I think goes in this range. You could play in the slot. He'll be playing outside this year. That's kind of the big question mark. Can he play on the outside? It's Jahdae Barron.
Ends up playing on the outside and winning the Jim Thorpe Award. Kind of wild. All right, Cleveland Browns. I have them going. Oh, Deion Burks, wide receiver out of Oklahoma. I think he ended up starting the first 5 games and then went down with a foot injury, if I recall correctly. So he's going to be back at Oklahoma this year. Los Angeles Rams, Drew Aller. He's going to be back at Penn State this year. I do like Cam Ward. I had Cam Ward as a top 50 player coming into the summer, so I imagine we see him coming off the board relatively soon. If there's still a quarterback needy spot out there,
maybe Matthew Stafford plays a few more seasons and field consistently for him in Drew.
Okay, maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know if there is enough quarterback needy spots for him to come off the board. So I got wide receiver going here, and I go with Ricky White. I think Ricky White falls to like the 6th, 7th round at UNLV. Didn't test well at the combine in terms of speed. Had a much better pro day. But he ends up falling, man. He ends up falling. Chicago Bears. Oh, okay. We got oh my gosh, why am I blanking on his first name? The guard from Ohio State that played left tackle. I want to say Devon, but that don't feel right. So I'm going to grab Donovan. I was like, I knew it's not Devon. So Donovan Jackson, he ends up sneaking into the 1st round, going to the Minnesota Vikings. Hey, I have him going to a NFC North team. Atlanta Falcons, I have them going with Xavier Wampa out of Iowa. Safety. Kind of had a nothing year. He's going to return to Iowa. Really good size and smooth athlete, but needs to click. Needs to turn into production for him. Miami Dolphins. I have them going Billy Bowman, safety out of Oklahoma. I love this dude's ball skills. I really did. And I still do. It's just that size. We saw some limitations with his length. I believe he goes in the 4th round to the Atlanta Falcons. Green Bay Packers is where I have Amari and Hampton going. So Hampton, I had him as the 4th running back off the board here. He ends up going in the 1st round of the Chargers. Houston Texans. Barrett Carter, linebacker out of Clemson. I thought he could have went earlier. I believe he ends up going early in the 4th. I don't recall where. Oh, it was the Cincinnati Bengals. That's right. Woof. Woof, woof, woof. Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going Tate Ratledge. Oh, this is actually the exact spot Tate Ratledge goes, just to Detroit, right? At pick 57, because Detroit moves up to go get him. Yo, that's kind of cool, but I like Tate Ratledge. I thought he was very technically sound. Tested a lot better than I thought. I knew he was like, hey, he's kind of a smooth mover, but tested out really well. All right, let's see. Dallas Cowboys. I got them going with Trevor Etienne, running back out of Georgia. He goes early in the 4th round, I believe. Started the year, I think he was suspended and then got banged up here and there and just was kind of part of that rotation. Buffalo Bills go with Jalen Walker, linebacker / edge out of Georgia. I didn't know what he was going to be. We were talking about a guy with limited sample size with, I think, just over 200 snaps. I don't know. I kind of want to listen to what I say about him. Okay, good. He's listed as linebacker. Or maybe he's listed as Mikael Williams in the 1st round. I'm actually going to stick with Georgia. And I think he's listed as an edge. Or maybe he's listed as a linebacker. Okay, good. He's listed as a linebacker. I don't know if he ends up being an edge or a linebacker. We got a real small sample size when it comes to Jalen Walker. But if anything, he's got really good blitz and upside. And he's got the athleticism to stick at linebacker. So I'm going to grab him and kind of hope maybe he's my future Matt Milano.
Okay, not incorrect. That kind of ends up being the eval for him. Cincinnati Bengals. I don't think we're going to see a quarterback come off the board. It was just a shame. I think I had Cam Ward as a top 50 player entering the year there. Yeah, with like Drew Aller. Oh, no mention of Jackson Dart, by the way, either. And you know what? I had Dart probably in the 3rd round. Interesting. Ashton Gelati, edge out of Louisville. I ended up being lower on him come the actual draft. This is the range he ends up going at to the Kansas City Chiefs, right? Or no, it was it was early in the 3rd. It was that first pick of the 3rd round. Not the first pick, but pick 66 in the 3rd round. So not too far off. Not great length, but tested out well. Production was there for him. All right, I want to see what these Detroit Lions do. Is this my Landon Jackson spot? Oh, Anthony Belton. Yay, let's go, Anthony Belton. He ended up going in the 2nd round, I believe. Let's see. Yeah, pick 54. I have him going here at pick 61. I ended up having him
I think he was around 80 for me on my final big board, but he had a very good Senior Bowl. All right, Baltimore Ravens. I have them going Dante Trader Jr., safety out of Maryland. He ends up going to the Miami Dolphins, so is what it is. Didn't test out that well. I thought he had a pretty good Senior Bowl, though. Kind of is what it is. I was a big Trader guy entering the year. I was pretty let down by his testing, though. San Francisco 49ers go with Josh Connerly Jr., tackle out of Oregon. He ends up going in the first round there to the Washington Commanders. So I'm glad he got in here. I think that kind of means, okay, in some form or fashion, I got the tackles that went in the first round. Granted, it took me 2 rounds to get there, is what it is. Who do I have going for the Chiefs at the end here? Oh, it looks like I'm going tight end.
So I'm going to go with Tyler Warren.
I just want to go back.
But Gray is a Jared Wiley. I don't know. This is the right tackle. I think this is.
I just want to hear me talk about Tyler Warren because I did not expect to like his tape when I went into my summer deep dive.
The right tight end, Tyler Warren. I'm pretty darn high on Tyler Warren out of Penn State. He moves exceptionally well. Very good athlete. Good ball skills. Love it. And he's got a flexible body type.
I'm just saying, Tyler Warren, I felt like I saw the breakout before the breakout happened, and it ended up being far greater than anything I could have expected. So yeah, there was my mock draft, my initial one after I actually went down and grinded the tape. There were some issues, there were some hits, some misses. Cam Ward, the first overall, the player that was taken 1 overall, not included in here. But I'm pretty sure I had him around there in my top 50 with Drew Aller. Kind of is what it is. Let me know what you think. How close were you on your initial mock draft for 2025? How close were you to nail in, not necessarily where players went, but what rounds they went in? You go ahead, let me know in the comment section below. That's it for the video. Go ahead, do that YouTube thing. But as always, until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.